Today I've been reading one of my favorite Bible verses, and it's Romans chapter 8, verse 28. And you know it by heart. You know it that it says that all things work for good to those who love God, those who have been called according to God's purpose. And I've been reading that for decades in my life, and I know it, as I say, by memory, and I can repeat it. But today I asked some questions to myself, saying, but is it possible that God could call someone not according to his will? You know, this is the last sentence of the verse. And since it's the last, I never have been asking this kind of question. Is it possible that God can ask someone in a way that is not according to his own will? This is not possible. So that made me think, and I reminded that Paul normally, in many of these difficult passages, he emphasizes the most important thing first, and then he goes backwards in his thoughts. So I did today, what I did today is I started to read it from the bottom of the verse backwards to see the logic in a reversed way. And when you see that last sentence, those who have been called according to God's will, that reminded me Ephesians chapter 1, where it says that God has predestinated all humankind to salvation. That doesn't mean that everyone is going to be saved. That means that salvation is open to all humankind. But the result will depend only upon your own decision. Will you accept that invitation, that call to be saved or not? So starting on that, according to his will, means, okay, he wants to save you. He wants to help you to be more saint, better person, to be perfect in somehow, until we will achieve it, of course, to grow in faith. But when you think about that, not everyone will accept God's invitation. And that's the point to start with the next sentence, going backwards. Those who love him. Who loves God? Those who have accepted that call that is in the last sentence. Only those who accept that call will understand that God does things for love. And obviously, your response will be love for him back. It's interesting that, because when you love someone, you trust that person. When you trust that person, you know that whatever it happens with that person will never have a bad intention towards you. Oh, that blew up my mind. I've never read this verse backwards as I'm doing it with you right now. So what I thought is, okay, if we love God, that means that I have accepted him, the invitations that we see in the last sentence, and that means that I trust him. I have faith on him, so I trust him. So it says, going backwards, that whatever happens in our life, God will turn this into good into our lives. So in order to accept that intellectually, that means that you understand that whatever he does, whatever he will manage in your life, even the bad things that arrive into your life, that these things do not come from him. But you trust that God will turn those things for the good in your life. So you trust on that. And there is another thing I want to add now. It's that we know that all things, good and bad things in our life, for those who love God, because we have accepted his invitation, God will turn them into good. We know. And that's a key verb. We know. We do not understand. It doesn't say that we understand how it works. I do not understand. I do not know the mechanisms. How will God turn all those bad things into good things into our life? I don't know how, but I do know that he will do it, and he is already doing those things. So, that's the difference between I understand and I know. I know that God will make that, will work out, that those bad things will become good things or good results in my spiritual growth, in my sanctity, in my character, in many other things, and finally all that will give as a result my salvation, of course. Just a thought. Sometimes taking Paul's verses is not easy, but when you realize that at some point there is a question that doesn't make sense according to his will, is it possible that God may call someone against his own will? No, that's not possible. So just read it backwards and you will find out wonderful things.